Welcome to episode 25 of the Midwest Angler Podcast. I am Scott Stuerman, joined by Matt Deitch and Big Tasty Grady Stuerman, along with us for episode 25. I'd like to start off this episode by quick giving a shout out to one of our faithful listeners across the pond, Sean Herlihy. Thanks for always being active on the page, always listening to the podcast. Sean is over in London. Oh, no, London, not London. Just England, I think Liverpool, England.
All right.
But yeah, thank you, Sean. That's really cool, international like that.
That's right. We're worldwide.
We're getting to be a big deal.
We fans over there. We got fans in Canada. I mean, the United States.
We need Mexico. We need Africa. We'll get them.
We'll get them.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
sooner or later.
Get over there to Asia. We got them all. We'll get them all covered. What do you think there, Big Tasty? Glad to have you on the show.
Oh, I don't know.
All of a sudden, you were just talking a mile a minute a second ago, and all of a sudden you see the red blinking light on the camera over there. And now this is the quietest I think I've ever seen you.
I don't know. I'm not too shy when it comes to this stuff, but sometimes, like, when I just start talking, I'll just get a little shy for a little bit, and then I'll start talking like this.
All right.
A little nervous.
You weren't shy the other day on the boat when you were giving old Chad Lorth the business.
That's right, El Diablo.
Yeah, we have fun this weekend. We got out on East Lake on Sunday. Kind of got after the old yellow bass.
Yeah, we caught quite a few big ones, and then we only caught, like, a couple bluegill, and then got a couple Pittsburgh perch.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh perch.
Pittsburgh perch. That's what he started calling the yellow bass.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to call them
Yeah, from now on, they're Pittsburgh perch.
Kind of got that old Pittsburgh Steelers look to them.
We were making fun of Ramsey because
That's what we do.
everything is a perch to Ramsey. You know.
Down in Texas.
Yeah, if it's not a walleye, it's a perch. And so we were kind of making fun of him, coming up with different names for different fish, and Grady came up with Pittsburgh perch for yellow bass. It just kind of stuck.
That's great.
It's just so funny when he said it.
What did we? What were the techniques that we were doing the other day?
Oh,
What did you catch most of yours on? You actually caught,
I caught
a couple big master anglers.
Yeah, I caught a couple of them on a gold pilkey with waxworm on it. And then Ramsey found this great idea to grab a yellow bass or a bluegill just behind its eyes and take the hook out. He says that's the best way to calm them down.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out, they were kind of wild when they came out,
Yeah.
but I think you, Scott, were the one that said, if you let them in the water for a little bit, pick them up, put them back in the water, then it was easy to take them off the hook.
It was kind of weird. I don't know why I did that at first, but yeah, when you'd get them to the top and they'd be flopping all over, you'd kind of pull them out of the water, drop them right back in, and they'd kind of go limp, and that was it. And they were really pretty easy to get the hook out of because they are tough, and their gill plates are sharp,
Yep.
and they got a bunch of sharp fins, spikes on their fins, and they're a tough little thing when they're flopping around like that.
But man, do they fight.
Oh, they're fun.
I mean, especially when even
Yeah.
the small ones, but the one you hook into a big one,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really know what you got on there sometimes.
Yep. And what Grady was saying there, using a pilkey, we call them pilkey. I know everywhere they call them something a little bit different, but they're a shucks jigger.
Yeah.
Shucks makes these little jigs over there in the Iowa Great Lakes, Okoboji, Spirit Lake, wherever their headquarters is over there. But just a little lead minnow-looking deal, upside down. It's got a short half-inch chain off of it with a
single hook.
with a little tiny hook on it, and we just put a waxworm or two on there, and it seems to me like the gold, the
silver,
chrome,
Yeah.
the shinier of the colors, and we had Tim DeBoer in the boat, and actually he originally had kind of a greener one on that was more of a dull color, not quite as shiny, and he wasn't having success when he switched over to a blue chrome looking one. He started
with
catching
little
a
bit more
couple more.
flash to it.
Yep, and I don't know why that is. I'm sure he could have caught just as many on well, maybe not just as many, but you would still catch them on the other ones, but that shinier ones definitely was the
Yeah, I
ticket.
think it like catches its eye and then makes it like just go check out what's over there. Like maybe it's a minnow with a little bit of shine to it or something.
Yeah.
There you hear it right there from the expert.
Well, the way he was
And
catching them the other day, he pretty much was the expert.
Yep.
And then like some of those little ones, like I would spill a whole bunch of like these waxworms would come in with with these wood pieces and
The
stuff.
sawdust chips,
Yep, and I spilled it all over his boat. And
Spilled it all over Matt's boat. That's right.
Yeah.
That's all right though.
Looked like somebody had a chainsaw.
Like Emily, like I said, I think I made the comment that Emily's gonna think that I was out making cupboards or
Yeah.
something now instead of fishing.
yeah, and then like you would drop a fish in there, and then they would catch all the wood chips, and then you could just throw it back in the water and clean the boat.
Yeah. You still have yet to catch a walleye, though.
Yeah,
We're
I haven't
gonna
caught
get you
any-
one.
Something.
Feel like I'm getting a bad dad award.
No.
Oh,
We're
we
going
get-
to Canada in August. We're
That's
gonna
right.
definitely catch
That's
some.
right.
Well, we get on a yellow bass bite like
Yeah.
that. We went and tried walleyes for a while,
Yeah.
but they just
Yeah.
weren't going. It was kind of the middle of the day, so we
Yeah.
went back to catching the yellow bass because it's a ton of fun. I mean, if you have anybody that wants to get out and try some fishing, kids, adults, it doesn't matter. If they want to catch fish, get them over there right now because the yellow bass bite is just crazy. I mean, it must be their mating season. I don't know much about
Yeah.
like the mating as far as like they're spawning, not mating, but their spawning season as far as yellow bass goes. Because we'd be fishing there sometimes, and you look out there, and there'd be like a tornado of yellow bass, like
Yeah.
coming up towards the top of the water, and it's just like holy buckets. And I don't know if it's like all the males chasing one of the females or what's going on there, because all the ones that we were catching were definitely milking.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, all over the place. So
Yep, all over your boat, all over the clothes. If you were wearing black, you were in trouble. You're
yeah,
gonna wonder where you've been, but no, yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I dare say between what do we have, 5 in the boat?
Yeah.
Jeez.
we caught over 200
Yeah.
fish.
I was gonna say
Easy.
I know I wrote 150 on the Facebook page because I wanted to kind of be more conservative, but after I was really thinking about it, I mean, I would say each of us caught
Yeah.
50.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And-
Yeah,
No problem.
because you
So-
would go on little flurries where you'd catch 3
Yeah.
drops in a row. It would be
Yeah,
like boom, boom,
just-
boom, and you'd catch them and boom, boom, boom. I mean, it would add up really fast if we
We
were
had
counting.
we had a tub of 250 waxworms, and
They were pretty
it was
gone.
basically gone.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you only get 1 fish per waxworm. But there's sometimes that you get 3 fish per waxworm, and yeah, the next day me and Grady went back out. There was a couple waxworms left, but not,
Yeah,
not many.
I actually towards the end switched over to. I was getting sick of having to rebait my hook all the time. I switched
Yeah,
over
so you
to
switched
a
that plastic.
little red Berkeley plastic and put it on the hook, and I
Catching them
catching
just the
them
same.
just the
Right.
same, and it was just nice to be able just to take them off and be able to drop right back
Yeah,
down.
I didn't even
So-
notice that you did that.
Yep. Well, yeah, just because I was getting sick of
Yeah.
baiting the hook all the time.
Yep. Actually, the next day, Sunday afternoon, after the rain, me and Grady went back out, and
We
both
caught
of us.
quite a few.
I think he got 2 master angler yellows up in the 12 range, and
You caught
I caught
or two.
one.
Yeah, you caught one.
And we both caught a pretty
Decent
good
amount,
share
yeah.
of bluegills. And then right at the end, I had a nice
Yeah.
big old crappie,
Oh, really?
and I
Yeah.
got it up out of the water and
And-
was just trying to flip it up onto the dock, and it got off.
Yeah.
But it was a
Man.
nice one.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
real.
I dare say it. You know, it'd been 14 inches or something
wow.
like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was a big fish.
Yeah, the bite is over there at the lakes right now is just going.
You know, and as much as people hate that curly pond leaf on East Okoboji, boy, I think as far, you know,
Yeah.
for recreational, you know, if you're a tuber or a swimmer or whatever, I'm sure it's not very good. For fishing, I think it may be the
Yeah.
best thing that ever
Yeah.
happened to that lake.
Well, it's not making the pleasure boaters go away because
No.
they're taking waves from every direction the other day.
Yep. Ramsey told me today that he heard that Okoboji's 2 or 3 inches away from going back onto the no wake.
Right, and they changed it up this year. I didn't read it too much, but yeah, they changed like their restrictions as far as how much higher it is than normal, and then instead of doing like the no wake, like it's like 600 feet out from shore instead of 300 feet, or I don't know what.
Okay.
I got to read into it more, and
It
which
wa-
I was all right with it last year.
I was
when
going to
we
say,
went on no
as
wake.
much as it sucks if you're going to a spot clear across the
Right.
lake, you know, you want to move spots or whatever. As far as fishing goes, and you know, like on the weekends, to be able to go out there and you know, normally we battled towards the end.
Yeah,
on,
we
on
stayed out
Saturday.
there. We stayed out there too. Sunday it was.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
Sunday.
it was Memorial Day.
Yep.
We stayed out there longer than what we should have probably done because it was, I mean, there wasn't much for wind at all, but
Yeah.
it was tough getting across the lake with all the waves coming.
Definitely.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The only thing that sucks about that is when the docks are all underwater and
Yeah.
you're wading out in the water to get to the dock, or
Yep.
some of them, like I said, some of them are underwater, the ends of the docks are, but
Yep.
it still has to come up quite a ways for that for a few of those
Right.
places. So.
I remember last year when that water got so high, you saw all these 5-gallon pails all
Yeah.
over on these people's docks. And at first I couldn't figure out what it is, but I don't know if it's water or if it's sand or whatever, but weight to hold them docks down.
Right.
That's really pretty crazy when you think about having to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as far as my memory goes, I don't ever recall ever seeing that before.
No, and we're going to have it 2 years in a row because it just doesn't stop raining here.
I think we
mean,
got 5 days of no rain. Starting now, starting tomorrow.
There's a chance for 5 days of no rain.
5
We
days of
need
no
it.
rain.
I mean the farmers, everybody needs
yeah,
some dry weather.
I mean, yeah, it is farmers especially because they're on a time crunch. But you know, I think about Sean Bosler
Yeah,
pouring concrete.
Yep.
He ain't pouring concrete in this
Right.
weather. I think about other construction guys.
Yep.
Landscapers.
Yeah.
Everything. The list goes on, and it's not good for anyone. I mean. Whoever said rain is a good thing, it is.
Luke
Not
Bryan
this
is
year.
full of- yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Luke. Jeez. No, but no, we did it. I had a question come in this week from Tyler Hicks. Said he's a new listener and he's trying to talk his wife into buying a boat, and he kind of wanted us to dip into just a little bit of boat selection. And Matt obviously has a little bit more experience with boats than what me or Grady has, but one thing that I'll start off by saying is, like Lund Tai, if you're trying to talk your wife into it, you want a fishing boat, but she's kind of thinking more of a pleasure boat. That's kind of a crossover
Right.
boat that you can still take your family out and
Yeah.
go. But it's still a heck of a fishing boat, and I think you can haul a tube with it and
Yeah.
everything else.
And there's a lot of boats out there
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And I mean, you just using the Tai as an example, but like when you're going into buying a boat, you gotta sit down and kind of weigh out like what length do I want to get, what size motor. I mean, if you're planning on using it as a multi-purpose boat for pulling tubes and also fishing, are you going to do more fishing out of it? Or are you going to do more recreational stuff out of it? Well, most people are looking at it to get it for the fishing aspect of it. So, like, yeah, a Lund Tai, a Proby, anything like that. The Lumacraft trophies, the competitors, those boats are all great. Crestliner makes the Fish Hawk series, which is a good one too, and they make a sport fish. A lot of these companies make kind of a crossover boat. I mean, Lund has a Lund crossover, it's called, where it's a fishing boat, but it also has the amenities of a pleasure boat out there.
And they'll have a lot more permanent seating, or
Right.
at least a lot more spots.
Well, they'll have like up on their front deck, they have removable pads so that if people want to sit up there, they can sit up there, lean up against the railing. They got pads along there, and a lot of that is removable. A lot of them have jump seats now in the back that they'll fold down into a casting deck.
Okay.
And then when you get people in there, they'll fold up, and you can use
Yeah,
it
that's
as
a really good idea.
extra seating.
Yep.
If you're going to go used, new, I mean, that's always the thing. If you're going to go new, there's a lot of these dealerships. I'd say go out to these dealerships, get into these boats, and see like if it has a layout that you want. The boat shows earlier in the years, I mean, when we went up to the Northwest Sports Show, we could not believe the amount of boats.
I dare
up
say
there.
there was 500.
It was crazy. I mean, for us, we usually go to the Sioux Falls Sportsman Show, and they have a lot of good boats there. But usually they always have the boats for the higher price range, and
Yep.
stuff like that. Up there at the Northwest Sports Show, they had them all the way from the low price points all the way up to the high price boats.
Yep. There was a
And you
lot of
could-
bare bones
yeah,
boats.
and you could sit in there and see what you really needed.
Right.
As far as like going, like I said, with motors, then it comes in, do you want a 2-stroke, a 4-stroke? There's different sizes. If you're talking about anything recreational wise, you're going to want to go 90 or bigger. I mean,
That's what you're going to need to haul a tube.
to haul a tube, especially if you want to get a couple people back there. I mean, will other ones do it? Yeah, other ones, 75 horse, things like that will do it. But then you're putting a lot of stress on the motor too.
Yep.
Like I said, that's always something to consider. The length. is a big thing.
Well, how many people are you planning on
Right.
bringing out? I mean, no one wants to buy a boat for that can hold 5 people when you've got 4 kids and you and your wife, someone has to
Right.
stay back or whatever. That's one of the things that you definitely got to look at. And what kind of body of water are you going to
Yeah.
be going on?
Yeah.
If you're going to be on a big lake, obviously our big lake is Okoboji or Spirit Lake, but when you get up into Minnesota, Mille Lacs and stuff like that,
Yep,
if you're going to
you
be
get
on
some
these
big waters.
big water, you need a bigger boat
Right.
because when the wind comes up, things can go south in a hurry, and you don't want to be miles and miles away from your truck or
Right.
your lift or whatever you've got going. But
And as far as brand, there's all kinds of good brands out there. It's like you could get into the argument. It's like Ford, Chevy, all that stuff. I mean,
Yep.
like I said, Lund makes a great boat. I run a Lund. I've had a Tracker that you have now. I had a lot of success with that. Tracker makes a really nice boat. The aluminum or fiberglass. Do you want to go with an aluminum boat or a fiberglass boat? Nice thing about aluminum is they're lighter weight, so when you're pulling them, you're not wasting as much gas doing it, and you can maneuver them a little bit more. But the ride isn't as good as a fiberglass boat. Fiberglass boat is a smoother ride, but I've been in some 18, 20-foot fiberglass boats that have less room in them for moving around than my 17 and 3 or right under 18-foot boat does.
Yep.
It's a wider boat. I mean, look, that's something to consider. A wider boat's going to be a more stable boat.
right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, but don't get overwhelmed when you're choosing it. I mean, you've kind of got an idea of what you're looking for going into it. Talk to some experts. Call up some of these dealerships. There's a lot of good dealerships. Call the companies. They'll talk to you if you have questions about their boats. Look in the past history of boats. Is this brand that I'm looking at, is there a problem? Like, do they have a history of issues with it? Is there the motor? Again, you can get Mercury, you can get Evinrude, you can get Hondas, you can get Suzukis. I mean, there's just all kinds of that too. But again, just do some research, and there's some good things out there. If you're going into buying used and you're doing it in a private sale, definitely, if you have a friend who is into the marine, like repair or something like that, get a hold of them, and maybe they can come along and look at it with you, find out how many hours are on it. Most people trying to sell it, you can have them bring it in and have it looked at a shop and get compression checks done on the on the motor,
Yep.
just so you know what the cylinders all look like.
Yeah, just the same as a car, but
Right.
I mean, if you buy a boat and you're thinking, oh man, we've got a lot of fun weekends coming up, and next thing you know, you're bringing it somewhere to dump a couple $1,000s into it for boat repair or motor repair, whatever. That makes
Right.
I don't want to say this, but I've always heard that they say the best day of your life is the day you buy a boat. The second best day of your life is the day you sell a boat. And,
Yeah, and other people, boat stands for bust out another 1,000. That's-
Yep. Yep.
As far as I'm happy that I bought a boat many years ago. I got a lot of use out of that one, and now this new one I have. I went from a single console boat to a tiller boat. That's always something to consider too. I love the tiller boat layout. I mean, the other day with 5 guys in there, it wasn't like we were crowded, bumping into anything, or having to step over the console, do any of that. We had plenty of room.
If you're going to strictly fish out of it, tiller is really the way to go.
It really is nice. But like you said, if you're going to get onto some big water sometimes, I mean, tillers, they may come in all from 12 footers all the way up to 20 some footers. I mean, so that's something to kind of consider. The console is nice if you're going to be bringing the family out a lot. I mean, do you want to you can get a single console? Well, then the driver is one that's pretty much protected by any foul weather. If you're out there in the wind and it does come up and you got to go across the lake, it's not as protected. So you can get a dual console. You can get a full windshield across it, which is nice. So if
Yep.
it is kind of a windier day or a colder day, you can kind of hide behind that windshield. And it will keep you dry. Too, and it's all about how you drive it sometimes too when you get in.
Definitely.
I mean, and the big thing is, don't go out of your means when you're buying a boat. If it's something you're looking to get into, don't think you have to go out there and I got to spend like all this money on it and get yourself into financial trouble.
Right.
I mean, buy what you can afford, just about like anything, and
Yep. And I guess at the end of the day, if you're going to use it strictly for fishing, you don't need all the bells and whistles. I
and
mean,
you can always. I mean, one nice thing I've talked to a lot of guys about too is sometimes when you buy brand new, the base price on that is just the boat and motor. It's not all of a sudden you start going through the company to buy it. Now you're adding on this, now you're adding on that, and pretty soon you get that sticker shock of what the base price is that you saw on the sticker is $10,000 more because of all the accessories that you added on to it.
Yep.
Sometimes you can go and find an older used one that has all those bells and whistles and only has, not many hours on it, wasn't used a lot, and you can get into something like that a lot cheaper.
Right.
And then you have all the accessories that you need.
yeah, and do think about that too. When you buy a boat, you are still, if it doesn't have a trolling motor, you're going to want to put a trolling motor on it.
And
You're going to want to
put a good
depth
trolling
finder.
motor on it. It's a couple $1,000s right there.
Yep. And that's all stuff that you got to factor in. If you're looking at a boat for $9,000 and you've got $9,500 to spend, but it doesn't have the stuff that you are going to want on there, I mean, you still got to save money for trolling motors, electronics. Buy something a little bit less and see if you like it.
Yeah.
And 2 years down the road, sell it off again, and then hey, you know what, I am going to use that. Because I think there's a lot of people too that buy these boats with big aspirations, that they're going to go every weekend, and whatever. And especially if you got kids, Grady's got baseball tournaments, whatever. And pretty soon you realize that you don't use it as much as what you think. If you're a guy who likes to go fishing with buddies and your buddy's schedule doesn't, jive up with yours, well then pretty soon, at the end of the year you brought it out 1 or 2 times and your boat depreciated $1,000. Heck, you could have rented a boat at one of the marinas for $500, I don't know. It's just all stuff to think about. What do you got, Grady?
Bringing you guys back. So, if you would, want to go out and you were, going for walleyes or something, or, some sort of fish, would you want, a quieter motor to, get out there? What would you want, for something like that? So you could get out there and maybe not scare away the fish?
Well, the motor noise isn't going to necessarily scare them away. Your 4-stroke motors are going to be quieter than your 2-stroke motors, but your 2-stroke motors usually are a little bit faster. I mean, you look at those guys that have those big boats, like those in the bass tournaments.
Yeah,
they go flying by, and those boats are pretty loud. They're not. I mean, unless you're in shallow water, you're not gonna.
Once you get up close to where you think your fish are going to be, you might kick down the trolling motor. And some people, do run a little kicker motor on the side, and that's going to be a little bit less power. And
that's something to look at too. If you plan on doing a lot of trolling for walleyes, if it's a 150, they might be able to troll down a little bit down to that, but you might have to look into a kicker motor too, and that adds expense to it as well. That's what I like about my 90-horse tiller, is that I can troll down to a couple miles per hour, and if I need to back troll, I can back troll too with it and get it down there even slower. And so, and also that was a good question, Grady. I mean, that's something to consider.
yeah, you got to consider everything if you're going to be spending thousands of dollars.
Right, and like you said too, you got to consider the water you're fishing. I fish a lot. As far as when you're getting your trailer, do you want a bump trailer or do you want a roller trailer? I fish a lot of lakes out in South Dakota that don't have a landing. So you're putting in off a gravel road. Well, the bunk, you got to get it in there quite a ways to get the boat floating and off the bunks. The same way when you're loading it. Whereas with a roller trailer, you don't have to get it in as far, and you can still get it up on it. So I mean, those are the things to consider. Single axle compared to dual axle trailers. If you got a big boat, if you're looking at getting like a bass boat, and you're looking at a 19 to 20 foot bass boat, and it's sitting on a single axle trailer. Most times you kind of want the double axle trailer on something like that, so a trailer is a little bit better.
Yep. But in the same breath, when you're replacing tires, you're replacing 4 of them instead of 2 of them.
That's the thing too.
It all adds up.
But I mean, it's always definitely worth it. I mean, I love having my boat and getting out there with my boat.
To go through a set of tires, you'd really.
You got to be hauling around, or your alignment's got to be way off. There's got to be an issue then if you're going through a set of tires in no time. You're either traveling all over the country, or there's something wrong with your trailer or your alignment or something like that.
Yep. Actually, just to touch base on this one second. Don Garrettson, who lives on the west side of Rock Rapids here, Triple R Trailers or whatever, he makes trailers. And he was telling me and my dad one time that so many people put trailer tires on their trailers, whether it be an enclosed trailer or whether it be a boat trailer or whatever. You know, they get these special trailer tires. He said for not much more money, you can get a light truck tire that's rated to go faster and you know, withstand more weight. And he said, you know, if you have to replace trailer tires, you probably wouldn't have had to replace a light truck tire. So he said, always upgrade, you know, because you can get them in all sizes.
Right.
Get the light truck tire instead of just the basic trailer tire. And he just something, pass along.
So yeah, I mean, now's the time. If you're looking into it, there's a lot of them for sale right now. Another good thing to do is at the end of the year, there's a lot of guides that sell their boats every year.
Yeah.
Professional fishermen that do. I mean, they get used a lot, but they also get taken care of really good.
Yep.
And you're going to get into a new boat for a lot less money, and it's going to have a lot of bells and whistles on it.
Right.
So yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you know, we encourage you guys all to
If
do
there's
that
something,
more.
yeah,
If there's some topics you want us to cover, let us know.
yep. Another thing that I thought that we would quick dip into, did you see that whole deal about the catfish record
In South
over in South Dakota?
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, so let me get this straight if I got it right. Back in the day, there was a channel cat record, but they actually found out that it was actually a blue cat.
Yep.
So the channel cat record has been held by a blue cat, actually, which is bigger than any channel.
Right.
So as of last weekend,
They vacated that state record and they opened it up.
and I think like a 10-year-old boy held the record for like 24 hours or
Yeah.
something like that.
I think I saw the other day that somebody brought one in over to Sioux Falls to one of the bait shops.
Yeah.
And it was like 11 or 12 pounds.
I was going to say, it's
the
right
state
at 12
record
pounds right now.
right
yeah.
now. So they call it like the cat rush of 2019.
Yeah.
Everybody else, and now everybody wants to get out there and get a state record, so they're trying for catfish, which is awesome to me. I mean, it's just kind of
Definitely.
it's neat to see.
That's one of those fish that either you're a die-hard cat fisherman
Right.
or you don't fish catfish at all.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me. You know,
I think some people think that they're kind of a dirty fish for some reason because the bait that you use is sometimes, you know, you're using cut
Stink
bait or
bait.
stink bait.
Yeah.
So people don't look. I mean, they are a blast to catch. I can't wait until later on in the summer when the frogs are out to catch a bunch of frogs and go float them down at the river underneath of
Definitely.
a float and catch
That's-
some big catfish. It's a blast.
That's really how I started fishing
that's-
here on the Rock
Yeah,
River.
same here was for chasing
You know,
catfish.
back in the day when I was a kid, of course, we went down there, but Lance Grown actually got me into catfishing. We used to go back across from the racetrack down there. There was a little clearing there, chicken livers, and I got this Abu Garcia Ambassador reel with the clicker, and god dang it, me and him would go down there and drink too much beer and sit down
too smart.
Yeah, very smart. And you know, we were catching 4-pounders, you know, 5-pounders or whatever, and golly, we thought we had Moby Dick on the other end of the line every single time. And you know, it's kind of funny, all those years that we were in search of the big flathead catfish, never once caught one, not a big flathead, not even a flathead period. And then I'm down at the river flipping twister tails for bass, and that's when
Yeah.
that's when I catch catfish. And it kind of seems like that. It seems like the guys who are going for walleyes and bass are the guys who end up with the big catfish,
Yeah.
and the guys who
Well, they're a
going
big
for-
predator fish. People think that the bait just has to be down on the bottom for to eat it, but they'll come up there and smack a jig
Oh, yeah.
or a rapala that's coming across.
that flathead that I caught down below the little dam. I threw out there, and all of a sudden, boom! Like I just felt something hit my line hard, and it was like, holy moly, what in the world was that? And I didn't get it. Threw back out in the exact same spot again, and that time I got it. And, oh man! I was running an 8-pound test on a medium light pole, and down there with the train bridge going across, I knew all I could. I had to get it on this side of the big
Right.
trestle, and I did. Thank God. But after that, man, I bet you I fought that thing for 25 minutes at least,
right.
whatever. And my phone's on 3%, and I'm calling Tanner, you know, try to bring down a net. I called my brother, no one's answering. I probably
Tried to
called
call
you.
me, and I
and
wasn't,
no
yeah.
one's answering. You know, I'm cussing and whatever. yeah, finally this thing tires out, and right as I'm getting it into shore, everyone who I called is calling me back. Hey, what'd you need? Too late. But yeah, ended up wearing my Crocs. Got to go in there and get them.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's, all of our topics today, an event that happened here in town today reminds me of something.
whew,
We, with all this rain that we're getting, all the flooding happening, the people that just, were able to get to their houses and start getting them cleaned up, they're getting evacuated again. It's a bad situation. Don't, we're talking about boats and all that stuff. Be safe, guys. Don't take it for granted. I mean, our rivers are high right now. They're moving fast. Stay out of them if you have to. It's not worth putting your life in danger, and it's not worth putting all kinds of other people's lives in danger. We
Yep.
had a scary situation in our town here. Our river is not that big in the scope of things.
no.
I mean,
no.
you can cast across it.
Yep.
I mean, with a good cast, you can get from one bank to the other bank. But when it gets high and it starts running fast, it gets a lot bigger. And we had a guy today that had a little boat, and he put it in above the big dam in town here, and
On a creek.
on a creek, just a little creek he put in, and it got away from him.
Couldn't get his
Good.
motor started.
Couldn't get his motor started, and he went over the big rapids and floated down. They said he had his life jacket on, thankfully. I mean, and he got down towards Little Dam and was able to get a hold of the shoreline or a rock. And yeah, luckily there was somebody that was coming by at the time. I think I read somewhere they estimated him at being in the water for 15 minutes
Yeah.
before anybody could really get to him. And then
That water's still cold.
it is. It really is.
Very
And-
cold.
And it's moving that fast in a river. There's all kinds of things that are
Yeah,
underneath
there's,
there.
there's tree branches, there's rocks.
Yeah.
One good hit to the head and you're toast. I mean, that's it.
I mean,
You're
I don't
toast.
know if I would even put my boat, go in a kayak or a canoe above
Yeah.
like the big dam when it's not high, let alone running this fast.
No, yeah, and people do dumb things, and I'm not saying this gentleman was dumb. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you do stuff, and
Things happen.
and I think everyone's in the same situation. Where God dang it, we just want to fish.
Right.
And so you do something a little bit risky because golly, I just want to get out there. I'm sick and tired of this high water, whatever. And he might be looking back right now thinking, "Wow, I can't believe I did
I hope
that."
he is.
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully he's grateful for all those people that are first responders that,
definitely.
I mean, got down there and helped get him out, and just people. It wasn't even first responders; it was just people that were there that
Yep.
helped
Yep.
get him out of the water and everything like that, and to safety. So,
Yep.
I mean, we always talk about we're always lucky here that nothing has really tragically happened in that river since I've been around. And today reminds us that don't take it for granted.
Yep.
I mean, that high water. I don't care how good of a swimmer you are or anything like that. Things can happen, and
Yep, it's ripping fast. There's people underestimate the power of water.
that's right.
When you get into knee-high water and try to walk across the rapids,
Try to walk across a creek sometime that's running really hard. It's tough.
and the rocks underneath are
Are slippery.
covered with algae and moss and whatever else, and it's slick. It's not good. Be careful. That's all we're going to say about that.
Yep. Just be careful out there and
So
keep fishing. Big Tasty. You got anything for us, lady? He's single.
Oh, come on.
are you single or do you got a girlfriend this week?
Not this week. Maybe
Not
next
this
week.
Well,
Maybe
after
next week.
this airs,
Yeah.
we won't give you his phone number. Maybe we'll put it down in the bottom.
Link in below. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in to episode 25. We'll see you next week on episode 26. We got some big news.
Big news.
Very cool.
Exciting stuff
some
happening.
Very cool stuff happening. Just got off the phone right before we aired this one. Next week we'll tell you all about it. Appreciate you stopping by. See you next week.